job of the first date, tell people, is just to get to a second date. Focus on making the other person feel good. Because imagine if both people did that, they both come across great. But when you're eye focused, you're going to be self-conscious first off, right? Whether it's a speech or on a date, you focus on the self, you're literally conscious of the self. Every gesture you make, you don't even know what to do with your hands, every word, you can analyze it. You can have that narrative going in the background. Oh, I just said that. I wonder if she picked up on that. That's that. Forget about that. Just your only job is to help that other person have a great time and to focus on them. Afterwards, you can decide if they were right for you. And you'll have a much better date. But obviously more goes into this.
That's a phenomenal mindset to have when dating. I dated and think I'm married now, but I never looked at it like that. Like, go on this date and make that person feel comfortable and don't judge. You don't have to figure them out or they don't have to figure you out. Just make them feel comfortable.
Sure. What happens? You go out with somebody and it's like, oh my gosh, she didn't say please to the waitress. How is he going to treat our kids? And what about our guy? And they're often running, 80 years into the future, and it's same thing in, personal conversations. Some people aren't good at, the small talk and the casual interactions. I say, you're trying to impress the other person. Just have in your mind that you're going to leave this conversation with that person feeling better about themselves. So you'll talk about them, you'll ask them questions, not in an inauthentic way, not in a flattery way, certainly you can't do that, but in a genuine, honest, open way. And you're going to come across so much better because, again, you're not eye focused.
You've spoken to thousands of people, and I'm sure you counseled, privately thousands more in this area of dating and shidduchim and relationships. Just speaking, I guess, right now about shidduchim, and we're going to get to chinuch and anger and all that stuff, which is all really into the same pie.
Sure.
But speaking shidduchim specifically, what have you seen over the last few years in the frum world in regards to shidduchim? What could we be doing better? Is it a person-on-person basis that needs to improve? Is there really not enough girls to boys, or is that what do you think?
It's a good question. Specifically speaking, I think some people, first off, I think having a responsible dating coach is very, very valuable, because if you're going out and you're sort of making the same mistakes that just don't get you out of the gate, or you're not focused on the right things, it's going to hang people up. And there are some really phenomenal dating coaches, obviously, certainly many to stay away from, but there are some really, really good ones. So I would say if you're not matzliach, if you're not successful, meaning you're not married, or you feel like it's you're not able to get out of the gate and have an effective connection, work with somebody, speak with somebody, because it is hard. I mean, if you think about, for a lot of people, you're being in a dynamic where you're speaking to a boy or girl for the first time in this way, and it's very unsettling. But I think really to answer your question is, I think more effective communication, being able to carry a conversation in a genuine, honest way, and also just, physically to present yourself. But I've seen people make the same mistake when I speak on this. I say, some people, they can't understand why they're not getting married, but on the first date, they'll tell the person every medication they're on, every therapist they've been to, every issue that they have. And they'll say, if they don't know the real me, then I don't want to marry them. And it's like, let them get to know the whole you. It's like going on a job interview and saying, I like to sleep late on Mondays. I'm going to be out on Fridays. You want to lead with the positive. It's not Genevas das. It's just being smart. So sometimes, again, we do things that hang ourselves up. And if you just have somebody that could say, maybe try this or maybe don't do that, I think we'll have a lot more success. Just again, on a specific person-to-person basis.
Yeah, I want to highlight the point that you're making. You stated it very concisely, but I think people are very committed to being real and being authentic and being honest about who they are. And a person is very aware of their own defects. And when they're conscious of those defects, they already future trip and anticipate it getting in the way of, being able to get married. So they sort of shelter themselves from that pain of, I don't want to get to know this person too well, because then when this thing becomes revealed, then it's going to be a deal breaker. And let me get this out of the way now.
Right.
And I think it's very empowering, the perspective that you're offering, which is, in general, I always find it helpful to shine the light of Mem Yom Kodim Litziris Avlad, Baskal Yoitzis. It's Bashert. The two parts of a soul are put down into this world, and it's their job to find each other. And the same way a girl in Shidduchim is looking for that guy, the guy in Shidduchim is looking for her. And I've spoken to people that are still in the middle of their journey of looking for a shidduch and sharing with a lot of pain that I have such a hard time and I don't know what to do. And what I find to be very comforting to that person is that the person on the other side of that equation is experiencing a very similar thing right now.
Yeah.
And it's very empowering to know that, like you said, they need to get to know the entire you,
right? Not
just that thing that you're afraid to share.
Right. That's a beautiful point. I'd say two things on that. One is that, right. Well, you said, we're all aware of our defects. I'd say a healthy person is aware of their deficiencies and insecurities. There are plenty of people who, have no idea of their shortcomings, and that's obviously not the healthiest place to be. So it's a good thing that we're aware of our deficiencies, which we all have. I mean, you, not me. Right. So that's one. And the second thing is, in order to connect, it requires being vulnerable, right? I have to risk experiencing the pain of rejection in order to have this connection. And regrettably, and just to go deeper than, before, is that, that's what is going to hang up a lot of people. And just what you said. In other words, if they know the real me, the true me, they're not going to love me. They're going to reject me. So if you have somebody with, whether it's abandonment issues or any sort of, deep-seated insecurities or feelings of inferiority, they're going to run at anything that begins to smell like it's going well. Which is why a good dating coach, maybe even a therapist, I guess, in some instances, if, you're talking about more deeply rooted issues. And again, as you said, the person sitting across from you is as scared as you are. People often, I speak to people, they say, I've got this, this medication or this, mental, emotional disorder or this physical thing. I said, trust me, when you share with them, you're going to hear something back, and if not, then just wait 2 minutes. Everyone's got something. And if you knew just how scared that person was, just how anxious they were and afraid and insecure, you would feel much more confident. But again, that's what it means to focus on the I, is you're not able to focus in on them. And when you're I-centered or egocentric, you're going to be hypersensitive to all of your insecurities and you're not going to connect.